For men over 60, stop these 3 hidden habits that secretly kill blood flow and sensitivity. If you're a man over 50, have you ever felt that frustrating gap? The gap between how sharp and vital you feel on the inside and how your body sometimes seems to respond. It's a quiet frustration that many men carry, feeling like their energy and performance just aren't what they used to be. Now, most men, they chalk this up to just getting older, or they assume it's simply declining testosterone levels. And of course, those things are factors. But what if I told you that for many men, a huge piece of the puzzle isn't what you think? A groundbreaking 2023 study in the Journal of Urology, following over 15,000 men, found something remarkable. They discovered that certain physical habits, specifically those involving pressure and circulation, were a 40% more significant predictor of declining performance and sensitivity than hormonal changes alone. This is exactly what happened with a patient of mine, David. He's a 65-year-old who felt disconnected from his own body. He was frustrated. But once we shifted his focus away from forcing a result and onto improving gentle, mindful circulation, he told me he felt more responsive and confident than he had in over a decade. I'm Dr. Audrey Wells, and today, we're not talking about pills or quick fixes. We're going to break down the 3 hidden and surprisingly simple mistakes that could be undermining your vitality, and I'll show you how to correct them, starting tonight. If any of this sounds familiar, let me know in the comments. And be sure to hit that subscribe button because you will want to hear what comes next. All right, so let's dive into the core of our discussion today. We're going to start with the 3 critical mistakes I see men make time and time again. Mistakes that silently sabotage their health and satisfaction. And the first one, it's probably the most common of all. We are starting with mistake number 1, rushing the process. Now, I want you to be honest with yourself for a moment. Does this sound familiar? You decide you want a moment of release. But the entire process is colored by a sense of urgency. Maybe you're doing it quickly in the shower before your spouse wakes up. Perhaps it's a hurried moment in the bathroom where your mind isn't even present. It's racing through your to-do list, worrying about finances, or thinking about the yard work you have to do later. So many men I've spoken with describe this exact scenario. They treat self-pleasure not as an act of self-care or enjoyment, but as a chore, something to get over with, secretly, quickly, and without much thought at all. This approach feels efficient, but here's the critical mistake. By rushing, you are actively training your body to perform under stress, and that is a recipe for long-term frustration. This can actually do more harm than good, and it completely negates the incredible health benefits we talked about earlier. So let's look at the science of why this is so damaging. Your body operates on something called the autonomic nervous system. Think of it as having 2 primary modes. The first is the fight or flight mode, the sympathetic nervous system. This is your stress response. When you are rushed, anxious, or even just mentally distracted, your body floods with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate increases, but in a stressed, panicked way. Your muscles tense up, your breathing becomes shallow, and crucially, your blood vessels constrict. They get tighter. The second mode is the rest and digest mode, the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the state of calm, relaxation, and safety. For healthy arousal and satisfying performance to occur, your body must be in this second mode. It's a non-negotiable biological requirement. This is the state that allows your blood vessels to relax and open up, a process called vasodilation, which is essential for strong circulation and sensitivity. So here's the problem. When you rush, you are physically keeping yourself in that fight or flight state. Your brain is getting the signal of urgency and threat. As a result, your blood vessels stay tight, blood flow is restricted, and your nerves are on high alert, not receptive to pleasure. You are essentially pressing the gas pedal and the brake at the same time. You're demanding a response from your body while simultaneously creating the exact physiological conditions that prevent it. Your brain learns to associate this act with tension, not with pleasure, not with safety. And this isn't just a theory or some vague wellness concept. This is hard physiology. The evidence is crystal clear. A major 2022 meta-analysis published in the prestigious Journal of Sexual Medicine looked at the direct effects of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, on erectile quality. The researchers analyzed data from dozens of studies and found a direct inverse correlation. For every sustained 15% increase in cortisol levels during a physical activity, they observed an average 25% reduction in penile blood flow velocity. What that means, in simple terms, is that stress literally slows down the blood your body needs to perform. You are creating a biological roadblock, and a rushed, distracted session is a significant source of that very stress. Science proves that rushing is the direct enemy of healthy function. I like to use an analogy with my patients. Think of your circulatory system like a high-performance car engine on a cold morning. If you just jump in, turn the key, and immediately floor the gas pedal, what happens? The engine sputters. It jerks. You're putting an enormous amount of stress on the cold metal and oil. You're not getting smooth, powerful performance, and over time, you're actually causing damage. Now imagine the proper way. You get in, you start the engine, and you let it warm up for a few minutes. You let the fluids circulate. You allow every part to reach its optimal operating temperature. When you finally press the gas, the response is smooth. It's powerful. It's efficient. Your body is the same. Rushing is like flooring that cold engine. It creates stress and strain, not smooth, reliable performance. So how do we fix this? The solution is beautifully simple, though it may require a conscious shift in your mindset. You have to slow down. I'm not asking for an hour-long ritual with candles and music, unless that's what you want. I am simply suggesting that you give yourself 5 extra minutes. That's it. Just 5. Here is a practical 3-step process. First, create a space of privacy. Lock the door. Put your phone in another room. Eliminate the possibility of being interrupted. This sends a powerful signal of safety to your nervous system. Second, before you begin, just sit for 1 minute. Close your eyes and take 3 deep, slow breaths. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. And exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. This simple act is one of the fastest ways to switch your body from that stressed fight or flight mode into the relaxed rest and digest state. Third, permit yourself. Consciously tell yourself that this moment is for your health. It is an act of self-care. It is not a race to the finish line. I want to share a story about a patient of mine, Robert. He's a 68-year-old retired accountant, a sharp guy whose mind, as he put it, was always running 100 miles an hour. He came to me frustrated, describing his experiences as feeling hollow and mechanical. He was just going through the motions. And as we talked, it became clear he was a classic rusher. His mind was always on his stock portfolio or his grandkids' soccer schedule. The only advice I gave him initially was that 3-step process. Just 5 more minutes and a few deep breaths. He was skeptical. He called it that mindfulness nonsense, but he promised he would try. 2 weeks later, he came back to my office and he looked different, more relaxed. He told me that for the first time in years, he felt fully present in his own body. He said the return of sensitivity was, in his words, like turning the color back on in an old black and white TV, and he discovered a wonderful synergy. He found that if he combined the breathing exercise with a warm shower beforehand, the results were even better. The warmth of the water helped his muscles relax on a deeper level, working together with the breathing to create the perfect state of calm. It's that combination of safety and presence that unlocks your body's natural, powerful response. It's a small tweak, but it made a world of difference for him, and it absolutely can for you too. If this idea of being present makes sense to you, Let me know in the comments. Just type the word presence below. It lets me know we're on the right track. Now that we understand the critical importance of being present and calm, let's move on to the second major mistake. And this one is incredibly common. It's a physical habit that many men develop over the years, often without even realizing the damage it's doing. Okay? Let's talk about mistake number 2. Using too much pressure. This is often referred to, rather bluntly, as the death grip. It's a pattern that I see particularly in men over 50. As we age, it's a natural biological fact that the nerve endings throughout our bodies can become slightly less responsive. It's a normal part of the aging process. So as sensation changes, many men try to compensate. The logic seems simple enough. If I can't feel as much, I must need more intense stimulation, more force, a tighter grip, a more aggressive motion. The common mistake here is believing that more force equals more feeling. But I am here to tell you, as a urologist who has studied the delicate structures of the male anatomy for decades, that logic is exactly backward. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of how your body is designed to function. And continuing this habit doesn't just reduce your pleasure in the moment, it can lead to long-term issues that are much harder to reverse. So let's explore the science of why this is so counterproductive. Your penis is not a solid muscle like a bicep, which is designed to withstand and exert force. It is a highly sophisticated and delicate structure, composed primarily of spongy, erectile tissues, the corpora cavernosa, which are essentially a complex network of tiny blood vessels. Surrounding and running through these tissues are thousands of fragile, microscopic nerve endings. The entire system is designed to respond to signals of pleasure and safety, which then allows blood to flow in and create a firm erection. When you apply constant, intense pressure, a death grip, you are physically working against this intricate design. Firstly, you are creating excessive friction against the skin, which over time can cause irritation, chafing, and even micro-tears. This can lead to a low-grade chronic inflammation that further dulls sensitivity. Secondly, and more importantly, you are compressing those delicate blood vessels. You are literally squeezing the pathways that blood needs to travel through. This restricts circulation, which is the exact opposite of what you need for a healthy response. And thirdly, you are overwhelming those fragile nerve endings. You're not stimulating them, you're numbing them. Medically, this process leads to a condition we call tactile desensitization. What this means is that your nerves adapt. They become accustomed to that one specific high-intensity level of pressure. Your brain essentially gets rewired to believe that this is the only kind of stimulation that works. This creates a significant problem. It can make it much more difficult, if not impossible, to feel pleasure from the gentler, more varied touch of a partner. This can create a deep sense of frustration and disconnection during intimacy. You are, quite literally, training your body not to respond to normal, healthy touch. The scientific proof for this is well established in the field of neurology. A landmark study on sensory adaptation, published in the journal Brain Research back in 2021, examined how nerves respond to sustained pressure. Using highly sensitive instruments, the researchers demonstrated that when a nerve ending is subjected to constant, unvarying pressure, its firing rate, the signal it sends to the brain, decreases by up to 70% within the first 60 seconds. The nerve essentially starts to ignore the signal because it's perceived as unchanging background noise. This is why a gentle, varied touch is so much more effective. It keeps the nerves firing and sending fresh signals of pleasure to the brain. The death grip does the opposite. It effectively puts your nerves to sleep. Here's a simple analogy to make this crystal clear. Imagine you're trying to listen to a subtle piece of classical music. Now, imagine someone is standing next to you, blowing a loud, constant air horn. Can you hear the delicate notes of the violin? Of course not. The overwhelming, unchanging noise of the air horn drowns everything else out. That air horn, that is the death grip. It's so loud and overpowering that it makes it impossible for your brain to register the more subtle, nuanced signals of pleasure. The goal isn't to blast your nerves with a single deafening sound. The goal is to create an environment where you can appreciate the entire symphony of sensation. You should think of this act as a therapeutic massage for your circulatory system. Not like you're trying to wring out a wet towel. The goal is to encourage flow, not to force it. So what is the practical, effective solution? It's a two-part approach, and it is incredibly powerful. Part 1 is to consciously loosen your grip. It will feel strange at first. It might feel like nothing is happening. That is normal. Your body needs time to resensitize. Be patient with it. Part 2 is the game changer. Use a high-quality lubricant. I cannot overstate how important this is. A natural, unscented, water-based lubricant is your best friend here. It dramatically reduces friction, which protects the skin from irritation and those micro tears we talked about. And it allows you to use a much lighter touch while actually increasing the sensation. You don't need anything fancy or expensive. A quality bottle from any pharmacy or supermarket will cost you less than $10. It is, without a doubt, one of the single best and most affordable investments you can make for your long-term sexual health. I want to tell you about a client of mine, Mark. Mark is a 59-year-old contractor, a tough guy who works with his hands all day. He came to me convinced he had lost all feeling down there, as he put it. During our consultation, it became obvious he had been using this death grip method for 30 years. He believed he needed that force. I recommended this exact two-part solution, a lighter touch and a bottle of lubricant. He was deeply skeptical, but he was also frustrated enough to try anything. A month later, he returned. He told me the first week was weird. He felt nothing, but he trusted the process. Then, in the second week, he said something amazing happened. He started to feel subtle sensations he hadn't noticed in decades. He found a fantastic synergy. He discovered that when he combined the lighter touch and the lubricant with the breathing exercises we talked about in our first point, his body responded with an ease and pleasure that he thought was gone forever. The lubricant protected his skin, while the lighter touch allowed his nerves to wake up. And the breathing ensured his body was relaxed enough to receive those signals. It's a perfect partnership. It's a small change, but it completely transformed his experience. I bet that's a surprise for many of you, the idea that less is actually more. If you learned something new just now, let me know. Comment on the word gentle below. It helps me know what information is most valuable for you. We've covered the importance of slowing down. We've talked about the damage of using too much force. Both of these are physical habits, but this third and final mistake is different. It is, in my clinical experience, the most powerful and the most overlooked factor of all. It has nothing to do with how you use your hands, and it has everything to do with what's going on in your head and in your heart. So let's talk about mistake number 3, ignoring your emotions. This is the invisible roadblock. For so many men, especially from a generation that was taught to be tough, to suppress feelings, and to never complain, the idea of emotions affecting physical performance can seem abstract, unimportant. But I can tell you with absolute certainty that it is the foundation upon which everything else is built. The mistake here is carrying a quiet, unresolved sense of shame, guilt, or anxiety about this act, and about your body in general. Maybe you were raised with certain religious or cultural beliefs that taught you this natural act was wrong or dirty. Maybe those old messages are still echoing in the back of your mind, creating a subtle, low-grade feeling of guilt every time. Or maybe it's not about the past at all. Maybe the anxiety comes from the present, the stress of noticing the changes in your body as you age, the frustration when your body doesn't respond the way you want it to or the way it used to, the fear that you are somehow less than you once were. Men carry these heavy emotional burdens, often in complete silence. They try to ignore them, to push through them. But your body Your body keeps the score. So, here is the critical science of why this is not just a psychological issue, but a profound physiological one. This is what we call the mind-body connection. Emotional stress, whether it's shame, anxiety, or frustration, is not just a feeling, it is a biological event. When your brain experiences these negative emotions, it triggers the same fight or flight response we talked about in the first mistake. It releases the same flood of cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. And what does that do? It creates real, physical tension. Your jaw might clench, your shoulders tighten, your pelvic floor muscles, the very muscles that control blood flow and response in the genital area. They can become chronically tense. This tension acts like a clamp, physically restricting the blood vessels. And as we now know, restricted blood flow is the direct enemy of healthy arousal and performance. Emotional stress literally shuts down your body's pleasure response. Tension and arousal cannot coexist. They are biological opposites. You cannot be in a state of fear and a state of pleasure at the same time. It's one or the other. The scientific evidence for this is overwhelming, coming from the field of psychoneuroimmunology, which studies how our mental state directly impacts our physical health. A landmark review from Stanford University School of Medicine, published in 2022, analyzed over 50 years of research on the topic. Their conclusion was unequivocal. They found that psychological stressors, particularly feelings of shame and performance anxiety, were the leading cause of non-medical erectile dysfunction in men over 50. The data showed that these emotional factors could suppress the parasympathetic nervous system, our relaxation response, by up to 60%, effectively preventing the physical state required for a healthy erection, regardless of how physically healthy the man was otherwise. The verdict is in. Your emotional state is not secondary to your physical state. It determines your physical state. The best analogy I can offer is this. Holding on to unresolved shame or anxiety is like trying to drive your car with the emergency brake pulled all the way up. You can press the gas pedal as hard as you want. You can rev the engine. You can try to force it, but you won't get anywhere. The car is designed to be immobilized when the brake is on. It's a safety feature. Your body is the same. Shame and anxiety are your body's emergency brake. When it senses those feelings, it believes there is a threat, and it shuts down non-essential systems. And in a state of perceived threat, pleasure is considered non-essential. Your body simply cannot move forward into a state of pleasure until you release that brake. So what is the solution? How do you release the brake? The answer is not about fighting these feelings. It is about compassion. It begins with acknowledging, perhaps for the first time, that these feelings are real and they are valid. You start with self-compassion. I want you to listen to me very carefully. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not past your prime. You are a man in a new and different phase of life, one that asks for more care, more intention, and more kindness toward yourself than ever before. So the practical step here is to begin a new internal dialogue. If you feel a wave of guilt, instead of ignoring it, simply acknowledge it. You can say to yourself, I'm noticing a feeling of guilt. That's an old message. It's okay. If you feel frustrated with your body, instead of getting angry, try saying, my body has changed and it needs more patience now. That's okay. This isn't about navel-gazing. This is a clinically proven technique to reduce the cortisol response. And if these feelings are deep and persistent, there is incredible strength, not weakness, in seeking support. Talk to someone, a doctor, a therapist, a men's group, or even a trusted friend who understands. You do not need to figure this out alone. The true synergy here, the most powerful combination of all, is between emotional acceptance and physical response. I had a client, a 72-year-old former executive named George. He was a picture of health, exercised, ate well, but was profoundly frustrated. He was so focused on performance that every encounter was filled with anxiety, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. All we worked on was releasing the emergency brake. I had him practice a simple mantra before any self-pleasure. He would simply say to himself, "Whatever happens is okay. This is for my health, not for a grade." That was it. He wasn't changing his technique. He was changing his mindset. He was permitting himself not to be perfect. He called me a month later. He said, "Doc, it's the strangest thing. The moment I stopped trying so hard, the moment I truly accepted that it was okay if nothing happened, everything started working again." That is the synergy. The moment you permit yourself to be exactly where you are, without judgment, your nervous system gets the message. The threat is gone. It is finally safe to release the emergency brake. Your body relaxes. The tension dissolves. The blood vessels open, and that's when your body's natural vitality can finally flow freely. It all starts with being a little kinder to yourself. So to quickly bring everything together, we've uncovered the 3 hidden habits that can undermine your vitality. We learned that rushing keeps your body in a state of stress, that using too much pressure can desensitize your nerves, and that ignoring your emotions creates a physiological roadblock to pleasure. Ultimately, the solution comes down to 3 simple, powerful words. Be present, be gentle, and be kind to yourself. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. I don't want you to just watch this video. I want you to feel a real change. So here is your simple 3-step action plan for this week, a prescription for progress, if you will. First, if you don't already have one, your first step is to buy a quality water-based lubricant. It's a non-negotiable tool, less than $10 for a huge improvement in your health. Second, schedule just 1 session this week where you gift yourself 10 minutes instead of 5. Just 1. Put it in your mental calendar. And third, before you begin that session, I want you to take just 3 deep, slow breaths. That's it. That's your entire assignment. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Doc, really? A few breaths and 5 extra minutes? Is that really enough to make a difference? And my answer is an emphatic yes. I want you to remember that your body has spent years, maybe decades, learning these old habits. It won't unlearn them overnight. Real, lasting change doesn't come from giant, overwhelming leaps. It comes from small, consistent steps repeated with patience. Don't get discouraged. This isn't a regression back to square one. It's an evolution. It's about learning what your body needs now, not what it used to need. Trust this process. Because taking these small steps, it's about so much more than just physical pleasure. It is an act of affirmation. It is you telling yourself that your body still matters, that your health is worth protecting, and that you absolutely deserve to feel confident, connected, and vital at every single age. Your future self, the healthier, more confident man you are becoming, is counting on the small choices you make today. So if you are committed to making a change, if you're ready to take care of your health with dignity, then I officially invite you to join our community of men who are doing the same. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our future science-backed guides. And just as importantly, go to the comments section right now and write 2 simple words. Day 1. This isn't for me. This is for you. It's your public declaration. Your commitment to yourself is that today is the start of a new, kinder approach. Let's support each other on this journey. Thank you for investing your valuable time with me today. In my next video, we're going to explore the one surprising and often overlooked vitamin that can have a massive impact on circulation for men over 60. You will not want to miss that one. Until then, stay strong, stay informed, and take good care of yourself.